There are seasons where you definitely don't feel insecure, but you definitely don't feel quite like yourself. Maybe you started second guessing things that you normally wouldn't. Maybe you're comparing yourself a little bit more. You're shrinking yourself in certain rooms. You're waiting for your body to change or your life to calm down, your clothes, your wardrobe to get better, or for something to happen before you can give yourself permission to feel good again. And sometimes it happens gradually, right? So gradually that you don't even realize how much confidence you lost until you stop and really look at it. So today we are going to do a confidence audit, okay? We're going to look at little habits, thoughts, relationships, and even the way we show up for ourselves that might quietly be chipping away at our confidence. And make no mistake, okay, this isn't about being the loudest woman in the room or convincing yourself that you're perfect. It's about figuring out where you stopped trusting yourself, where you stopped choosing yourself, and what we can do to get some of that back. If you are new here, hi, my name is Marissa Linnell, and on this channel we talk a lot about personal development, femininity, confidence, just womanhood. We sprinkle in motherhood every now and then. If any of those topics are of any interest to you, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. Grab your coffee, grab your wine, or whatever it is that you're drinking, and let's talk about it. Okay, so phase one is auditing your defaults. And phase one is probably the easiest one to overlook because we're talking about defaults. We all have them. The outfit that you automatically reach for, the way you do your hair when you don't feel like doing your hair, the way you spend your first 20 minutes of your morning, even the way you respond to someone for asking you something. They are these little decisions that we don't really decide anymore. We just do them. And there is nothing wrong with having defaults, okay? Honestly, we need them. I don't want to have to make 75 decisions before 9 o'clock every morning. But I do think every once in a while we have to ask ourselves, are my defaults actually serving me? Or are they just familiar? Because sometimes the things that you are doing out of habit are also the same things that make you feel smaller. Maybe your default is throwing something on, maybe something that doesn't really make you feel good because you're not going anywhere anyways, right? Or maybe your default is saying, oh no, it's fine when something really isn't. Or maybe your default is downplaying yourself when someone gives you a compliment. Instead of just saying thank you, you find a way to immediately dismiss it. Someone says, oh, I like your dress. And you say, oh, this old thing. Why do we do that? And I want you to think about this beyond how you look. Maybe you've become the person that automatically says yes because saying no feels extremely uncomfortable. Maybe you automatically put what you want at the bottom of the list. Maybe you wake up and immediately start taking care of everything and everyone else before you even checked in with yourself. I am guilty of doing that. But that's also exactly why I wanted to start here. Because confidence isn't only built in these big dramatic moments where you finally stand up for yourself or walk into a room feeling amazing. Sometimes confidence is built or chipped away at in the tiny little things that you repeat every single day. Okay, so here's the first part of your confidence audit. The question is, what is one thing that you're doing on autopilot right now that consistently leaves you feeling less like yourself? Like earlier, I mentioned me waking up and immediately start taking care of everything and everyone else before even checking in with myself. So ask yourself that question. And then I don't want you to completely reinvent yourself. I just need you to change the default. If the default outfit makes you feel blah, create a new default outfit. If your default answer is always yes, maybe your new default becomes, let me check and I'll get back to you. That's the audit. We're not asking what's wrong with me. We are asking, what have I been repeating that doesn't fit me anymore? And once you start noticing those things, you realize how much of your confidence is actually hiding inside of your everyday choices. Okay, phase two. Phase two is the permission audit. And this one's gonna call some of us out, okay? It calls me out every time I think about it. Because I think as a woman, we have a tendency to wait until we have a good enough reason to do the things that we wanna do. Like, I'll wear that dress when I actually have somewhere to go. I'll start taking Pilates when I have more time. I'll get back into my hobby when things calm down. I'll take a morning to myself when everything is handled, which never happens. And at some point I had to ask myself, who exactly am I waiting to get permission from? Because there are so many little things that we postpone until we feel like we've earned them. And I don't even think that we consciously realize that we're doing that. We tell ourselves we're being practical, we're being responsible, we're prioritizing what's important. And sometimes we are. But sometimes we've also just got really good at explaining why everything and everyone else gets to come before us. And I definitely think that's worth auditing because you don't need a special occasion to look good. You don't need to become a certain size before you start caring about your style. You don't need to turn a hobby into a side hustle for it to be worth your time. You don't need to be completely burnt out to enjoy a quiet morning to yourself. And you damn sure don't need to justify every little thing that brings you joy. Sometimes because I want to is good enough reason. And I know that does sound simple, but think about how often we attach conditions to the things that we want, right? Like when I lose the weight, when I make the money, when the kids get older, when work slows down, when I have somewhere to wear it to. And meanwhile, life is happening right now. So for this part of the audit, I want you to ask yourself, what is something that I've been waiting to give myself permission to do? Maybe it's wearing the clothes. Maybe it's signing up for the class. Maybe it's sitting at the coffee shop for an hour by yourself. Maybe it's taking yourself seriously to finally start the thing that you have always wanted to start. It doesn't have to be big, but I definitely just want you to notice where you've been waiting for some imaginary green light. Because sometimes confidence looks like realizing, oh, I don't actually need anyone to give me permission to actually enjoy my own life. Wanting it can be enough. And so maybe this week, instead of waiting for the perfect reason, you give yourself permission to do something simply because it makes you feel good. Okay, so phase 3 of the audit, okay? This is the environment audit. And when I say environment, I'm not just talking about your house or the people that you hang around with. I'm talking about everything that you regularly surround yourself with. Your routines, your closet, your schedule, the conversation that you're constantly having, the things that you're consuming, the way your space feels when you walk into it. Because at some point, I think we have to ask ourselves, does my current environment support the woman that I want to be? Or does it keep reinforcing the woman I'm trying to outgrow? I don't mean this in some like big, dramatic, cut everybody off type of way. Sometimes it's really small. Maybe you're trying to become someone who puts more effort into her appearance, okay? But your closet is so cluttered that getting dressed is overwhelming every morning. Maybe you want slower, more intentional mornings. But the first thing that you do when you wake up is reach for your phone and immediately let the entire world into your head. Maybe you're trying to become more confident about something that you're pursuing. But every time you talk about it with certain people, you leave the conversation second guessing yourself. Or maybe your days are just so full that there's absolutely no room for things that make you feel like you. And that's where I think environment and confidence connect. Because we talk so much about confidence, like it's something we're supposed to magically create inside of ourselves. Like, just believe in yourself. Okay, but it's a lot harder to believe in yourself when everything around you is constantly working against the person that you are trying to become. Your environment does not have to be perfect, it just needs to stop making everything harder. So instead of asking yourself, how do I become more confident? Maybe ask, what around me is making it harder for me to feel confident? And yes, this is where social media can be part of this conversation, but it doesn't have to be the whole conversation because I know we talk about it a lot. But maybe there are certain accounts that genuinely inspire you, and then there are others that make you feel like you're behind every single time you see them. That is information. Maybe there are clothes that are hanging in your closet that haven't fit your body or your style in years, but you see them every freaking morning and somehow they still get to have an opinion on how you feel about yourself. That's something that I really need to work on. That is information too. Or maybe there's a routine that worked for you 3 years ago and that it simply just doesn't work for your life anymore. The point of the audit isn't to throw everything away, unfollow everybody, or create some perfectly curated life. It's just to notice these things. What in my environment supports me? And what keeps pulling me back into a version of myself that I've already outgrown? And then from there, you can start making little adjustments. Move the clothes, change the routine, protect a little space in your day. Be more selective about whose opinions get access to you. Because sometimes becoming more confident isn't about changing who you are. Sometimes you just need to create an environment where that version of you has room to exist. Okay, phase 4. And I think this actually might be my favorite phase of all. This is finding your identity anchor. And when I say identity anchor, I mean, what is the one thing that immediately makes you feel like you? Not necessarily the most confident version of you, not the most productive, put together, successful version, just you. Because I think when we go through these seasons where we don't feel as confident, there's this temptation to completely reinvent ourselves. New wardrobe, new hair, new routine, new personality. Suddenly we're on Pinterest and we're creating entirely new women. I've been there. And sometimes it's fun, right? I mean, I'm all up for a little reinvention. But I also think there's something really powerful about figuring out what brings you back to you. What brings you back to yourself? Maybe it's a certain piece of jewelry that you always wear. Maybe it's the way you do your hair. Maybe it's red lipstick. Maybe it's gold hoops. Maybe it's getting your nails done. And then it doesn't always have to be appearance related, okay? Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's cooking in the kitchen with music playing. Maybe it's going for a walk by yourself. Maybe it's doing something creative. Maybe it's something that you used to do all the time before life got busy and before you just stopped. That is your identity anchor. I really think that we need these little things because life changes a lot, okay? All the time. Our bodies change, our schedules change, relationships change, we become mothers, we change careers, we move, we grow, we enter completely different seasons of our lives. And sometimes you're gonna look around and realize that your life is completely different than it was a few years ago. So have something that reminds you, hey, I am still in here. It really matters. Like for me, a big identity anchor is perfume, okay? There's just something about the Chanel Chance perfume that I just love. It's one of my signature scents, but it's like when I put it on, I immediately think, okay, there I am. Now, obviously it doesn't magically solve everything, right? I don't put it on and feel like all the confidence in the world, but it does bring me back to me. And that's what I want you to find. Think about the last time you felt really comfortable in your own skin. What were you doing? What were you wearing? What little details were present? What part of yourself were you expressing that maybe you haven't expressed in a while? Because your identity anchor isn't about creating another rule for yourself. It's something that you can return to. On the days where you're not feeling your best, during the seasons when you're changing, when you look in the mirror and you're like, I don't really recognize myself right now, you just have this little there I am reminder. And after going through this entire confidence audit, I think that's what we're really trying to get back to. Not some completely new, perfectly confident version of ourselves. Just a woman who knows who she is and knows how to find her way back to herself. Okay, so before we go, I just want to say this. I truly don't think confidence is this place where you finally arrive at and then boom, that's it. You're confident forever. I honestly wish it worked that way. But I look at confidence as more like a muscle. There are seasons where it's really strong. You're showing up, you feel good, you trust yourself, you know who you are. And then there's going to be seasons where life is happening, right? Where your confidence is really weak. You change, your body changes, your priorities change, you get busy, you start pouring into everybody else, you go through something, and then one day you realize, wait, when did I stop feeling like me? I truly don't think that means that you lost your confidence forever. I think maybe you just haven't been using that muscle as much, and you have to start lifting again, okay? Like just like you're in the gym. Not waking up tomorrow as a completely different, ultra confident woman, but paying attention to the little places where you stop showing up for yourself. Change one default. Give yourself permission to do something you've been putting off. Make one change to your environment like I have. If you're not new here, you see this is a whole new setup. I'm in the process of actually making it like a nice setup, but this is where we are today, okay? Find the things that makes you think, there I am, and start there. Because confidence doesn't always come back in some huge life-changing moment. Sometimes it comes back in these little pieces, and eventually start to feel like you again. So now I want to hear from you. Which of these 4 phases hit you the hardest? Was it your defaults, your permission, your environment, or finding your identity anchor? Tell me in the comments whether it was phase 1, 2, 3, or 4, and if you are comfortable, let me know why. I have a strong feeling that if you do participate in that and dropping whatever phase you are into the comments, that we are going to realize that we are not the only ones going through some things and working on ourselves. And that's the community that we are building, okay? As always, if you enjoyed this video and videos like this, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Please be sure you are liking, commenting, and sharing this content with your friends and family. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Smooches!